lot of people die trying to come up to the border. And so I'm not as concerned with, you know, the potential loss of job. I'll be honest, I'm not as concerned with the drug activity as other people might be.
What? What are you concerned with? Are you Sometimes when I watch these videos, I really question whether or not the students have America's best interest at heart.
I don't think the trauma to the child is going to be the same.
The trauma only comes from the separation, right? It doesn't come from the crime because the child doesn't understand the crime. The trauma comes from the child is being sent to a shelter.
Bro, do you know what you support? I'm a little confused now.
I wanted to bring up again the idea that like prosecuting illegal immigrants is protecting the interests of and I know how we got distracted because we started talking about jobs as like an interest of Americans. And we talked about the
also safety aspects
the
to it
potential
too.
economic, and well,
because if you don't enforce the border in general, then like anyone could come over, even if they're you know, members of the cartel or looking to do you harm. They're foreign entities, spies, soldiers, whatever. You know, anyone. If you just stop enforcing border law, then literally anyone could come, and you could have a slew of a million different like security problems that arise from it as well. And if you don't enforce it against everyone, you can't enforce it against anyone. So you'd effectively need to enforce it against everyone in order to avoid those problems. Because if you're not catching the people at the border, obviously if you're catching them, you're enforcing the law. If you're not catching them, you can't vet them. And if you can't vet them, you don't know if they're a member of the cartel, a spy. You don't know if they're like a foreign soldier or somebody, a terrorist coming to like suicide bomb a bus. You have no idea. Like, so all of those security problems like play into it, which is just outside of the economic is another reason why we have border laws, and every country in the world has border laws.
There is a potential for increased cartel activity.
They'd run wild. Cartels would run wild.
So, but continuing on with my point about protecting the interests of Americans, I do think that is part of the job of the U.S. government. But I'm going to step back from saying that like. So
if you guys don't know what's going on, and my name is Elifar Jojo, by the way, this student is basically debating the fact or debating illegal immigration. The one on the right, or my left, with the Make America Great Again hat is arguing that he supports the illegal immigration that Donald Trump is doing. And the student says, I don't support it. And they're going to go back and forth about whether or not it's a good thing or a bad thing. And this video is going to get crazy. So please make sure you like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Let's go.
In terms of this is a good law morally, I want to suggest that the distress felt by the people who are not part of the cartel, the families, because I think the majority of people immigrating are their families, they're people looking for a better life, trying to escape political persecution, gang violence, sexual assault, murder. Those people, I tend to feel that that the good that we could provide them, the good that can be found in America, probably outweighs the potential negatives that they're bringing. And again, I'm not super into the moral framework of utilitarianism, provide the most good, prevent the most bad. But I will say in this instance, I really do think, one, that the good that those people, the good that is provided to those people by being able to find a better life in America probably outweighs the negative impacts that people like us feel, that American citizens feel. And I also think that the family separation policy causes really a very large amount of emotional distress to both the kids. I mean, there's a lot of evidence that separating kids from their parents at a young age causes like pretty deep psychological issues. That experience is going to be really traumatic for the kids who are being separated and the parents who don't know where their kids are. I saw you earlier and I did a brief little lookup on Wikipedia, and not that Wikipedia is necessarily always the best source, but I saw a lot of stuff saying like parents didn't know where their kids were. Kids who as young as 12 months old were being separated from their parents, and I totally hear the like well, look, we got to apply the law equally, and if people know that if they come up with kids, that they'll be treated preferentially. But I truly believe that even if that's true, the kids, I mean, those children are already making a really like hard journey, a really dangerous journey. A lot of people die trying to come up to the border. And so I'm not as concerned with, the potential loss of jobs. I'm not as concerned with, I'll be honest, I'm not as concerned with the drug activity as other people might be.
What? What are you concerned with? Are you Sometimes when I watch these videos, I really question whether or not the students have America's best interest at heart. Because what do you mean you're not concerned? Those are huge concerns. And I get it. You also care about the people who are getting deported. You also consider that. And I respect that because it doesn't hurt anyone to care. I will always say that it doesn't hurt anyone to care about others. Jesus said care about others. But you're basically saying, I care about them more than I care about Americans. That's where I kind of get confused. Because you're not even offering a solution that helps everyone. You're really not. You're basically saying, well, who cares? They're not hurting anyone. Let them stay. I don't care if it's hurting anyone in America or if it's hurting the American economy, blah, blah, blah. Let them stay. You didn't offer a solution that helps everyone. So this just tells me that you would rather aid immigrants, or in this specific case, illegal immigrants, rather than American citizens.
My primary concern is like, as much as I'm not a utility maximizer or a utilitarian or anything, I'm like, let's minimize the amount of trauma that's happening to these kids. They can't tell their parents no. They're getting brought up. And if in doing so we have to apply the law slightly differently, we have to not detain these people in the same way that we might want to. If that leads to kids not being traumatized, if that leads to less overall trauma for parents and kids, that's something I'm willing to agree to. And I probably that speaks to the difference in maybe our priorities. But I would much rather we have, I mean, this is maybe going to be kind of contentious. I might get clip farmed here.
I'm not clip farmed.
I think most of the time I'd rather have kids who get to stay with their parents, and even if we say, look, there's some bad to illegal immigration, I'd rather have the kids not be separated from their parents and the government get kind of screwed over and be like, well, we can't apply this rule to everyone. We can't apply, we can't have, we're applying this differently to illegal immigrants versus our criminal code to American citizens.
Yeah, so that's what I would say is like
I prefer the kids don't get traumatized.
But it's not based on so what you're basing it on is like trauma and psychological distress and stuff like that. But the same trauma and psychological distress happens when somebody gets a DUI. Let's say I don't have a wife. Let's say my wife's dead and I don't have any family. I have a child. I get a DUI. I go to jail. My kid has to go to a DHS, Department of Health and Human Services shelter. The same trauma happens there, but I obviously have to go to jail. I can't just skip out on my jail time when I got a DUI. I have to be punished and removed from society because clearly I'm not capable of operating within it. But that same trauma happens, and it doesn't matter whether that trauma happens.
The same trauma does happen.
We're talking about people being separated from their families, though. The child being separated.
So yes, there is a similar thing happening, but the difference in you getting a DUI, being separated from your hypothetical child, and what's the jail time on a DUI? Is like,
I don't know.
Depends. I mean, it's probably
murder. Let's say I'm going to be in jail for the rest of my life.
You're going to be in jail for the rest of your life.
Yep.
I mean, actually, no. I think we should stick with the DUI because it is a completely different thing. I mean,
it's not about like the principal crime. It's about I'm going to jail. My kid's getting separated.
But the trauma is different depending on the crime you do. And so if we say look, I
don't know why. So the child doesn't understand the crime.
I don't think the trauma to the child is going to be the same.
The trauma only comes from the separation, right? It doesn't come from the crime because the child doesn't understand the crime. The trauma comes from the child is being sent to a shelter, father's going to jail.
Okay, so it is trauma to the child. It's also when you go to jail for a hypothetical crime, you've broken American
Bro, do you know what you support? I'm a little confused now listening to this.
code. You're a citizen. You go to jail for something, right? First of all, we're assuming it's you. You're a native English speaker. You understand what's happening. You understand. I went to jail. These people are good at communicating with you. You know your kid's going to Health and Human Services. You know that your child, you know what's happening. Not to minimize that, like, illegal immigrants may know what's happening, but the likelihood that those people are good at speaking English, pretty low.
A lot of Border Patrol agents speak Spanish. A lot of them are actually Hispanic themselves. So, like, I highly doubt that these people aren't being communicated to effectively. And regardless, the notion that they don't understand what's happening when they know they're breaking the law, immigrating to the country,
there are a
because
lot of reports.
Mexico.
Yeah, he's being a little demeaning, slightly racist, if I'm being honest. Just assuming they don't know what's going on because they're not American? What is this, xenophobia? Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. It's LFR Jojo, and I'll see you on the next one.